You want to be able to play fast alternate picking like the shredders from the 80s, 90s and also today's players. Then stay with me in this video and I'll show you how. You might think this looks much too advanced, but it's all about the attitude and the approach to practicing this. So let me give you a plan that make you successful in playing alternate picking. So I'm Niels Vejlødt and I want to present to you here what I call a beginner's alternate picking lesson. And even though I played relatively fast in the intro, this is just to give you an idea of how this can sound at some point. But to learn something like this, you need the right action plan to get you to your goal and to successfully making you able to play fast alternate picking. It's all about how you practice it, as I talked about before. Also, the reason I call it a beginner is because there's nothing new to the way that I play alternate picking. It's 3-note per string. It's alternate picking all the way. There is some inspiring and fun little ideas that I go from one position to the next. But what we will do here in this lesson is to give you a plan that will successfully make you able to play fast alternate picking. We will obviously not start with the complete piece because that's much too many notes to remember. One of the first things the first pitfall that a lot of guitar players they fall into, and myself included, is to try to master a big piece, something like that, even though it's not that big. It's not like mastering a symphony, of course, but you know, it's a lot of notes, and what you want to do is to get those little chunks, make them becoming able to play them fast, getting those little successes, and then at some point, at one stage, you can put everything in together and you be able to play the whole thing. But along the way, we'll just dissect the whole piece, create those little chunks that we're actually able to play up the tempo, and we can even make use of those little ideas in your playing already by now. But we'll talk about that along the way when I show you each individual piece. Let's get into it. Now, if you're a total beginner, it's a good idea to just get an idea of how you can move the pick, how fast you can move the pick. So, for example, just pick out any note. I'm just choosing the D string here. The first thing you should do is to play a tremolo, and make sure that you're not tightening up in your arm, any parts of your arm. You want to play this just really relaxed. Not having a tight grip on the pick. Just be as loosey-goosey on any part of your body, and also the way that you the grip that you have on the pick. Not so loose that the pick starts to move between your fingers. You gotta find that balance. And I also need to say one important thing here is, of course, even though this is a lesson that gives you an exact idea how to become fast in playing alternate picking, you still have to do all the work, and you will get your own experiences along the way, and this is just an essential part of learning to play guitar or mastering anything in this world. So even though you get inspirations and you get some ideas from me, you will still get your own experiences along the way. So you cannot really skip any part of that. So you just have to throw yourself into that part of it. Anyway, so I'm playing a tremolo, and I'm really loosey-goosey here in the hand. Also, I'm not tight at all here in the arm or anything like that. The first thing you should notice is all your picking strokes, are they equally in the sound? You wanna equal sound in the pick. So if you, for example, play like this tempo, and you start to tighten up in your arm once you get at this tempo, stay down at this tempo, stay with this tempo. What you need is an equal quality of sound in the picking strokes. And then gradually try to take up the speed. Just pay attention to how it feels in the hand. You can also start really slow. If your picking strokes are very different, you know, the downstroke has a completely different sound from the upstroke. What your attention should be on getting the same sound in the downstrokes as well as the upstrokes. Of course, if you go into, you know, into detail, they will never become totally equal, because I mean, it is different parts of the pick that you're using when you play down and you play up, simply because of the nature with the way you play the pick. Also pay attention to the way that I'm holding the pick. You know, I'm holding it relatively in the same position as the string. I do have it tilted a little bit down. Some people like to tilt it a little bit up, but that's gonna be up to you. That's one of those points where you just need to have faith in your own approach to playing guitar. So I mean, I give you a lot of pointers, but to some degree you will develop your own style. Of course, becoming you know, addressed to the pitfalls and the problems that can occur, where you will get the inspiration from this video to stay on track. Okay, so that's the first part. The next thing is to get the notes down. And let me just give you the notes here, the first few notes. And you know, as I said in the introduction, I will divide it into pieces. So the first thing we do is we start on the low E string with our index finger. Playing a 3-note per string, playing generally 3-note per string patterns. I start on the 17th fret and I start with a downstroke. And then I play an upstroke and I use my long finger on the 18th fret, and then I play a downstroke using my little finger on the 20th fret. And then pay attention to what happens with the pick, because now the next thing I'm going to do is playing an upstroke, but the upstroke will be on the A string. I'm using my index finger on the 17th fret, and then I play a downstroke here using my ring finger on the 19th fret, and then an upstroke again using my little finger on the 20th fret. So this is the first thing we have. And you can sit, if you're totally new to alternate picking and playing fast scales, just play around with this first little part, making it all the notes sound equally long and have equal quality. Okay, so the next thing that's going to happen is that we're going to play a downstroke on the D string. And that's the 17th fret with our index finger, and then an upstroke with the ring finger on the 19th and little finger on the 20th. So what happens is we have a downstroke here, an upstroke on the A string, a downstroke on the low E string as the first, an upstroke as the first on the A string, and then a downstroke as the first stroke on the D string. Alright, so the next thing, this is just a scale, a D minor. So here comes the new element, is introduced. Because then once I reach the 20th fret with my little finger, I play down or back to the 19th and then back to the 17th. Make sure, this is critical, that your fingering is the same all the time. This is the first thing that can stand in the way of becoming fast, if you are not using the same fingering all the time. So now we're down to the 17th fret on the D string with the index finger. Then what happens is I actually rearrange my little finger going back to the 19th fret, and then I play 19 with the little finger, and then ring finger is playing 17 and index finger plays 15. So this is the first or the next thing that you can just have a little fun with. So the interesting thing here is also that on all the strings until now you have 3 notes, but here we change it around. Here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And the cool thing about that is that we get those little moments where we get quite a lot of notes on one string. Things that can happen a lot that stand in the way of becoming fast is also as soon as you change string, changing between strings can create all sorts of problems. You know, not hitting the next string right and stuff like that. And but here we have this little point where we just stay on the same string, and we actually just have to use that tremolo technique that we did in the introduction. So you can see where I just stay on one string and play fast. Okay, so let me just add the next little piece here. I like to divide it up into using the same concepts over and over again on a different set of strings, or in a different scale position. So once I'm here, I go down on the A string with my little finger playing 19, and then the ring finger plays 17 and index finger play 15. So this piece, before you attempt to go on with anything else, this is what I want you to really become comfortable with. And even though you don't feel that you're very fast with the picking yet, try to get this up the tempo. Okay, so what happens now is that you are going to learn this by heart. Make sure that you're at a stage in learning this where you can play this without any errors, any wrong notes, or shifting around the pick, or playing 2 downstroke, playing 2 upstrokes at some point, or you suddenly come up with a new fingering or something like that. Once you can play, you're 100% sure that you played the same time every time you played, then I want you to introduce the metronome. And I want you to start around tempo 50, and I want you to play 8th notes. And let me just give you an idea, if you're not sure, let me give you an idea of what an 8 notes sounds like. So if your metronome goes like this, I'm just gonna stomp my feet. Oh, the whole camera is shaking. But you can still hear, this is my tempo now. So this is 8 notes. And this is how you're going to practice it. So 1 note on the beat and 1 note between the beats. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Like that, and over again. Once you can do that, once you can follow the metronome, if you have never played with the metronome before, make sure that you have enough of your attention to the metronome, making sure that you actually play with the metronome. Make sure that you don't are at a point where all your focus needs to go on the lesson. So this means actually that before you can use a metronome, you have to be able to take just a little portion of little percentage of your attention away from what you play into the metronome, making sure that you follow it. So now, since you start on 50, then go up just a few beats per minute, 2 or 3, until you reach a point like 100, for example. And then when you can do that, you can start over again at 50, and then starting playing 16th notes. 16th notes is 4 notes on the beat. It goes like this. One and two, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. So you have 4 notes before a new downbeat. And once you're at 50 playing 16th notes, and that's not a problem for you anymore, and you can easily do that, then you can gradually, slowly take the tempo up, keep stretching the tempo until you can reach a tempo where it sounds equally awesome. something like that. Even though this is not fast seen in context with many of the cool shredders from the 80s and 90s, and also from today's shredders, this still sounds fast. It's all a matter of what you compare it to. So for example, if you go like this, this sounds really fast, right? Okay, so once you're able to do this and you get the success that you're after with this will obviously take time, and it will take practicing and attention and focus from you every day. You need to practice it every day. Nothing less than I'd say nothing less than 20 minutes. Use 20 minutes for this every day, practicing this. Then you are on a sure path to becoming successful with this. And then what's the next thing that is needed from you is actually just that you keep on keeping on. And this is where a lot of people fails, because it takes time and dedication to get to that point where you can play fast alternate picking. But it's the cool thing about it is with something like this, you're sure to see the success, you're sure to see the results if you keep on keeping on. It's just a numbers game, you know, where you just keep doing the same thing over and over again. That being said, this is important, because this is something you don't hear a lot in these types of videos. You still need to go to work with kind of a in a scientific way, where you pay a lot of attention to your technique, that you don't accidentally change anything, because that's something that sometimes happens, especially also if you start to really stretch yourself. You start to use too much force here in your arm to become fast, and you wanna get away a little bit from that, because that can sometimes make you do some things, give you some bad habits, and those can sort of keep you locked in a bad spiral, you know, where you're not able to, you reach a point where you can't get the speed up from then and there. And I've seen that a lot in guitar players that have been playing for a long time. So you still have to have that very scientific kind of way to approach practicing, and really monitor the way that you practice. And so what can be so frustrating about this information, I know this, is that it seems like that if you do too much of one thing, you will not excel. So if you're too, this sounds weird, but if you're too scientific, what I mean by this term is, if you keep focusing on, oh, I might be doing something wrong, what does this guy do, and what does this guy do, oh, he's doing it this way, that might be then the reason that I can't get up the tempo. That's also a problem. But again, you need to be scientific enough so that you pay attention to that you do the same thing every time. Now I'm giving you some pointers that make sure that you can become a fast alternate picker. So if you make sure that you do follow those, it's just a numbers game. It's just a case of you keep on doing the same thing over and over again. But of course, making sure that you have those basic things down, like that I've been talking about. Making sure that you play down, up, down, up, down, up, no exceptions, not for some reason. Make sure that you should look at your hand, your picking hand, also in the beginning, and making sure that that there's not some point along the way in this piece where you, for some reason, start doing two downstrokes, because that's what happens for a lot of people. The other thing is making sure that you use the same fingering all the time, not changing around anything. So once you played it through once, then the next time you play it through, then you use a different fingering. Those are the very basics, and once you are sure that you are using those basics every time, then you're set for success being able to play alternate picking, and it's just a matter of you keeping on doing that same thing over and over again. now what I want to do is I want to show you the remaining piece, but I want to make sure that every time I sort of hashed on a new part of it, making sure that you practice that first, so you don't practice the whole thing. That's such a key aspect here. So once you learn this, once you can play this relatively fast, you play back again here with the ring finger on the 17th fret, A string, and little finger on the 19th, and then going into the D string, playing with the index finger 15 and ring finger 17, little finger 19, and then you go into the G string, playing 15, 17 and 19, using the same fingering again. Once you're here, this is the same idea that I'm doing again. I'm going back to 17 and 15, and then I do the same thing that I did on the D string in the beginning. I use my little finger here on the 17th, and then I play with the long finger. I play 15 and index finger on 14. Then I go down to the D string with my little finger, playing 17 and long finger on the 15th, and then index finger on the 14th. So what we've done now is that we reused the same concept, but in the previous sequencing the same phrase into the previous scale pattern. So that comes to. So this is the next thing you're gonna practice, using 8th notes and then 16th notes at some point. What you could do is, because right now you should be at a point where this feels relatively easy for you. What you could do at this point is you could start the whole piece from here. I mean, practicing from here, from the A string, in 8th notes, if you think this is too boring to practice with 8th notes again. Alright, so once you're using that approach to this lesson, then it's just a matter of putting every single piece together. So let's just get the rest of the notes. The next thing would be going from 14 on the D string, 14, 15, 17, using the index, long and little finger, up to the G string, using same fingering, 14, 15, 17, and then into the B string, playing 15, starting here with the index finger, and then 17, 18. Then you play back again to 17, 15, and using that same idea again, starting with the little finger this time on the 17th fret, playing 17, 15, 13, and then going into the G string, playing, starting here with the little finger again, playing 15, 14, 12, and then up again to 14, 15, and this is obviously just the next part. Let me just put that together. Went up again, 14, 15, and then into the B string, playing 13, 15, 17, and then the same pattern again on the high E string, same fingering, also 13 with index finger, and then 15 with the ring, and little finger with the on the 17th. Playing back again to 15 and 13, and then I go into, then I have a little bit of a different approach, because now I'm sort of want to descend the whole idea. But it's almost the same. I just descend, but I go into the to the 6th position of the major scale, whereas I started in the 3rd. So here I start with my little finger, playing 15, 13, 12, using little finger, long and index finger. Then I go into the B string, starting with my little finger, playing 15 and then 13 with my ring finger, and 11 with my index finger. Then I go into the G string, starting with the little finger on the 14th fret, and then ring finger on the 12th and index finger on the 10th. Then I go actually into the D string also, playing starting again with the little finger on 14, ring finger on 12 and 10 with the index finger, and then I play up again to 12 and 14, same fingering of course, and now I go into the G string, playing 10, 12 and 14 again, same fingering, and back again to 12 and 10. And here I go into the previous position, so I play into the 5th position of the major scale. So I start with my little finger again. It's the same idea as I talked about before. So I start here with 12 and then 10 with my long finger and 9 with my index finger. Then I go into the D string, playing 12 and then 10 with my ring finger and 8 with the index finger. Let's put that thing together. Then I go into the A string and play same pattern again, starting with my little finger, playing 12 and ring finger on the 10th, and then index finger on the 8th, and I go up again to 10 and 12, and I do the same on the D string, playing 8, 10 and 12 with my index, ring and little finger, and back again. Then I go into the previous pattern, the 4th major scale pattern, and I again do the same thing. I start with my little finger on the 10th fret, this time on the D string, and then 8 with my long finger and index finger on the 7th. Then I go down to the A string, still in the 4th position of the major scale, and now start here with the little finger again, playing 10 and long finger on 8, index finger on 7th, and then on the low E string, playing 10 with my little finger, 8 with my ring finger and index finger on the 8th, and I go up again to 10 and 12, and then I go into the final stages of this complete lesson. I go into the A string, playing with the index finger here, 7 and long finger 8, little finger on the 10th, and back again to 8 and 7. Then I go back here again, starting with the little finger on the 8th fret, and then ring finger on the 7th, and index finger on the 5th fret, and then I go down to the low E string, so, and I play 6, 5, and then actually you can just slide down to 3 here and end it here. But the whole idea, as I talked about in the beginning, is that you take each individual chunk, as I described in the beginning, of what a chunk consists of. It's like 3 strings up, or 3 strings ascending, then descending on the 3rd, and then back, or 3 strings ascending, back on the last string, and then descending on 1 string. That is a chunk, that consists of a chunk, the consistency of a chunk. That might be the wrong word, but I hope you get what I mean. So let me just give you an idea of what is 1 chunk. That's 1 chunk, and the whole piece consists of that idea just redo. So you can see ascending 3 strings, going back on 1 string, and then descending on 1. It's like that. And that's the whole idea of this. And then obviously just getting the progress that you want in one piece before you add the next, and then working from there. I'm Niels Vejløt, and I hope that you benefited from this lesson. If you have any questions, just post them here on YouTube or on my blog. Obviously you have to click the link below the video if you're on YouTube to go to the blog to get the additional info, and as well as of course the tablature.